There are many times in Excel when you need to add up data, either averages, sums. And in this particular worksheet, there are about 700 names, and certainly it would be a reasonable thing to want to know the total amount of salaries being allocated and possibly the average of the job ratings that we're seeing. You could imagine doing an average for the number of years as well. Now, do take advantage of the fact that sometimes in Excel, you don't even need to write formulas. And simply by clicking column F, there's some good valuable information on the screen in the status bar at the bottom of the screen. And you'll notice here, and if you're trying this yourself, you might not see exactly these same entries, even if you're working with the same data. A total, 37,268,000. A minimum and maximum, a count of the numbers, and also an average. You do have control over this, and in Excel, anytime you highlight 2 or more cells that contain values, you are likely to see some information within the status bar. Now, if you happen to right-click in the status bar, you'll notice that in this particular section here of the list of choices, you do have control over what's being displayed. Now, over time, you may have some favorites, and as you think out ahead of time, you might be saying to yourself, well, when I highlight data, it certainly will be worthwhile for me to see the average and the sum, but maybe not the others. You'll decide on your own which of these you would like to see, and of course, you can change your mind at any time. So for the moment, I've changed this to show only the average, the minimum, the maximum, and the sum. And that's true anytime you highlight 2 or more cells, and why not, in this particular case, select the entire column. And also perhaps with job rating to see what the average job rating might be, or the average years of service. Let's click column E. So I think you can see the value of this. Let me also point out there will be times when you're actually trying to create formulas because you want them in the worksheet at all times. Now, maybe this is not the best place to put a total, but let's suppose we want to put a total here of those salaries. Many of you are familiar with the Auto Sum button. You'll find it on the Formulas tab as well as on the Home tab. And on the Home tab, you'll find it way out in the Editing group in the right-hand side of the ribbon. If you click Auto Sum, as is usually the case, Auto Sum makes a guess on surrounding data as to what it feels that you might want to add. In this case, of course, the guess is completely off. We do want to add up all the salaries. Now, it certainly isn't wrong to start highlighting the cells this way. And if we only wanted to do these for a certain department, you could imagine doing this sort of thing. But let's say that you know this data well enough to know there's nothing else in column F except values and the title on top. So why not just click the entire column letter? Now that works beautifully. There's the entire function. Add up everything in column F, and we're done. Enter, and there's the total. And you can certainly do that with rows where the situation calls for it. Now it's going to be much less likely that you're going to need that, but if we wanted to do a total, imagine this in another worksheet with the appropriate data, maybe we'll just click Auto Sum again, and imagine if the data were valid, we could click row 7, and that would add up all the data in row 7. In this case, obviously, it's a case of apples and oranges. We wouldn't be adding that data, but that's how the function would work, and it would work properly given the appropriate set of data. Not only can you use the sum function, but any other function that might be appropriate for your needs. So if you'd like to do an average for each column, or possibly a sum or a standard deviation or a median or any other function that you might need to use, you can use an entire column reference. And keep that in mind as you work with functions maybe that you haven't worked with very frequently. It's a quick way to get good summary information without going through the drudgery of highlighting cells manually.